Kathy McCoy, Lorraine Gouget, Mark Hell is excused, Grant Gerber, Andy Alvarado, Mike Wohler, Tweed Schuman, Doug Mrotek, Bruce Paquette, Katie Bellinger, Stephanie Thomas Schmidt, John Yackel, Elaine Smith, Marshall Savitsky, and Julia Lyons. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And do we have certification of compliance with the open meeting law?
This meeting has been noticed to the public and news media as required by section 19.84 of the Wisconsin statutes.
Thank you. Moving on, we have meeting agenda. Does anybody see anything to move around? Nobody has to get out of here early or anything, so we should be good. Okay. Public comments. Is there anybody online or in the audience that would like to make a comment on an issue? None. Okay, we'll be moving on then. Consider approval of minutes from the previous meeting. Everybody should have received those. Anybody have any questions on the minutes? I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes as printed then.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Judge Smith and a second by Marshall to approve the minutes as printed. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Jail report update.
Attached is the 23 or September 23 jail report, very similar to months past. Average daily population of around 77, which is considerably down from a year ago this time. 20 females to 56 males. Average probation incarceration is about 23. Average pre-sentence incarceration is 41.5. Average sentence inmates is 12. Currently we had 5. I believe we have 4 now working Hubers. And our current unemployment rate's at 67%.
All right, thank you. We actually have some people working. Great. Does anyone have any questions about the report?
I have a question. Thank you. What do you think is the reason for the drop in the number, the average number?
Honestly, I don't know. It seems like ever since COVID hit, our numbers have just kind of fallen off. I really don't have any other explanation than that.
I was just wondering if it had anything to do with Justice Point and maybe more diversionary programs going on.
Almost, I would assume that has something to do with it. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I think the other thing that's worth noting too is I think Justice Point helping with the educational side and workforce side. I think that's huge. I think we're going to continue to see as the jail numbers drop, the unemployment number is going to drop. I think those two really coincide.
That would be nice to see.
And I do think that obviously Justice Point has made a difference with diversion programs and stuff in reducing our jail population. I mean, I think there is a correlation there. And I think we need to continue to watch that because from an economic standpoint, everybody always, why spend money on Justice Point? You know, that kind of stuff. But if you're reducing your jail population, you're saving money on that end. So, I mean, I don't know, what is the average cost to incarcerate somebody per day?
I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, it's to keep them in-house, isn't it right around that $90 a day mark?
Yeah, 65 to 90, depending on what the population is.
Yeah. So, I mean, that does add up to a significant savings when you start talking about a reduction of even 20
Yes.
or 30 or whatever, right? Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I don't know if it would be possible to put numbers to that eventually. I mean, is Justice Point, are you tracking those kind of information at all or not? Or is anybody in the jail where we could be actually, because now we're looking at what the population was a year ago, versus now, to put numbers to that, I think you know where I'm going, Andy, so that the public and the county board and other people could see that, this is having an impact. Because if you have this many less jail days per year at a cost of this, it's a tangible thing that people can put their hands on. And people really like that kind of thing. That's the best way to continue to sell that kind of program and more services is to be able to do that. So I don't know, I don't want to task anybody with it, but maybe it's something that can be discussed. I don't know, in Health and Human Services, or Andy, you as the administrator, I mean, if that's possible. I do think as we go further and further into this and we have more and more data with comparisons, I think it'd be really good to be able to put those numbers together. So
I can speak a little bit to that, Kathy. Our goal is to provide those numbers, and we're working with UW Extension actually on some data reporting along with our numbers that we provide. So as we track monthly, and actually we track daily, but when we provide our monthly reports and then we provide our quarterly reports that we submit to DOJ, our goal is to show a progress throughout the years that we've been here and the programs that we implement. So that's our goal, is to show that we've been making progress.
those numbers could obviously be taken and we could be applying rates to, how much per jail day and that kind of stuff to those numbers, because we have the numbers, right?
Right.
Yeah, that would be.
So along with that, we're taking into consideration, like what people are incarcerated for, like the top 5 offenses, what people are arrested for, those types of things.
Right. Okay. So.
The highest jail population we've had in a year was in 2019. We averaged 101 a day. And the highest daily population we had was in 2019 at 127.
And that's actually where our data starts, is 2019.
Great. So
That's where our
that's very
tracking starts.
significant. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. It sounds like we've got the information. It's just putting some numbers to the information that we have, right? Okay. All right. Anybody else on the jail report update? If not, then we'll move on to Criminal Justice Coordinator and 2024 budget.
So I started submitting numbers to Lynn last month, but they will change from the numbers that I present, just so everybody is aware. Our current pretrial cases are 134 as of today. Court reminders only are 36. Our current diversion cases are at 12. Our current diversion referrals pending are at 8. We have 7 diversion cases completed. We completed 1 yesterday. Successful. We have 3 that are failed in 2023. We have 13 on our wait list. 7 of those are incarcerated right now. And then as far as the budget goes, I submitted the preliminary budgets to Andy and Mike Markren. The pre-application was submitted on August 30th for $300,000 for the TAD application. $125,000 of that is for diversion. $100,000 of that is for recovery court. $75,000 of that is county match. On October 26th, we have a full application TAD webinar with DOJ. And then on November 16th, our full TAD application is due. So assuming that our preliminary budget stays the same, that's exactly what we'll submit. because the full budget is in place, but the budget breakdown is what is always, difficult. We also have the law enforcement deflection grant, and we're waiting on a final budget approval from the state for that, which is way, way behind. We were supposed to be able to start that on July 1st, but we haven't been able to start that. But we are working on our behind the scenes stuff everything that we can do. So right now we have a tentative training scheduled for the Hawaiian proxy tool for use by law enforcement with Dave Rivestall, who is the Eau Claire County Sheriff, and that's scheduled for December 4th through the 8th. We've sent out invitations to the LCO Tribal Department, Tribal Police Department, the City of Hayward Police Department, the Sawyer County Sheriff's Department, Birchwood Police Department, Sawyer County Dispatch and Emergency Services, and the District Attorney's Office. And also for law enforcement deflection, we met with the House of Hope to contract with some of their staff to employ them as certified support specialists so that we can cover those positions 24/7, which will work out well. And then we don't have to worry about those positions not being covered during those hours. And then for recovery court, we met with both judges last week to go over the process on how that will work. And after we update the policies and procedures, we're hoping to be able to take referrals November 1st.
Sounds like you've
Anybody
been
have
very,
any
very
update,
busy
or-
as always.
Yeah, we are busy.
Yes. So as far as the recovery court, so is it up and running or?
It's not up and running as far as like taking referrals,
Right,
but
okay,
we are, we have almost all of our behind the scenes things in place. We're very close.
so does anyone have any questions related to that? So basically, all of the budget is going to be through grant funding except for the 75,000 that the county has to match, correct?
Correct. There is no match for the law enforcement deflection
Right.
grant. That's all grant.
Does anybody have any questions on the report or on the budget?
When did you say that TAD application was due?
November 16th.
Thank you.
It's my goal to get it in the week prior because I'm supposed to be on vacation November 10th through 19th. But I did tell Nikki, who's my supervisor, that I will be available during that time in case there's questions, because there's always questions after we submit. So I will be available during that.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Appreciate everything that you do.
Yeah.
Moving on, we have Health and Human Service Report.
Okay, so I apologize. I don't have the numbers for YJ. I can tell you they've been very busy. We have both positions filled. So Sarah and Shannon. Shannon's has been trained in and is able to take cases now. So that's good. The other thing that is happening with YJ is we started talking with the courts and Mike Kelsey on truancy along with the schools and are getting a task force started. So hopefully we can put in a good plan for truancy as we move forward. So I'll be able to bring reports to the meetings as we kind of make those next steps. We've got Joyce here to talk about fentanyl awareness and the opioid settlement grant. And then it looks like you're going to talk about House of Hope.
Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Hello. So, so far, the presentations that we've given in person, 1,173 people have attended. And our last presentation was to the winter school, which went very well. At that presentation, we have started now doing an exit survey. So at the winter school, we did that exit survey, and the first question was, what did you know about fentanyl before this presentation? 67% knew a little or something, 28% knew nothing. And after the presentation, 89% said they learned much more or a lot, and 6% said they learned a little bit more. We also presented to the public at St. Joseph's Church. We had about 40 people attend. They had very good questions, very good feedback. I just want to say, when we're doing this presentation, we really get a lot of positive feedback from the community and from people who attend this, that they just had no idea, and that it's been very informative for them. We were also at one of the Hayward football games. Next week, we are presenting to the Hayward School student body. We're working with LCO to do a presentation at the casino, which would also include a Native American recovery story. And we're working to have a community presentation in winter. We're speaking at the Sawyer County Towns Association meeting in late October. We have created online fentanyl training for the Medical Reserve Corps members. 14 of those members have completed training, and some of them have volunteered at event tables. For Narcan, we have trained 660 people in Narcan usage. 179 boxes of Narcan have been distributed. We have also hired one recovery coach through the AmeriCorps program. He should be starting in a few weeks. I also want to let you know, we've downloaded our fentanyl flyers and our local fentanyl information on the inmate tablets at the jail. This was after I had begun interviewing people at the jail, and they didn't know the information, and they asked that I somehow get the information to them. So Becky actually came up with the tablet idea, and Mike got it done. I've been interviewing them, but getting in to interview them is very difficult. So I am now creating a survey that we will put on their tablet, that they can then answer questions. And part of that question, one of the questions will be, would you like a peer recovery support person? But it's really to get some background and try to get a little bit better handle on what's going on in Sawyer County. Any questions?
I guess one question I had,
Yeah.
when you're doing these presentations, it's, if people haven't been aware of it, now they're aware that there's this big problem out there.
Yep.
Can that be tied with somehow raising funds for like the task force for housing or whatever? I mean, could there be that information available, maybe a pamphlet or something? So all of a sudden it's like, oh, I now recognize this as a problem. What can I do in my community?
Mhm.
I mean, and funding is a big part of getting the task force, getting some housing in place,
Correct.
So I don't know, Mike, have you made any progress with they making a little pamphlet or anything that could be?
Yep, he does have a pamphlet that
Okay.
we could place at our event tables. Yes.
Yeah, I'm just thinking as people get educated, all of a sudden it's like, hey, this is something I should get involved in my community, and that would be an opportunity perhaps to get that information out, Mike, about the task force. If you got a captive audience, it'd be the perfect place to do it. So
Right. Sure. Not a problem.
And also with that, the Forever Joy website is up and running. And I know as the contributions come into that, that will be distributed in multiple ways as well. So.
Correct.
So is that a separate board that is running that nonprofit then?
It is, that is totally separate from us. She is a nonprofit organization. The whole idea is that once we are done with our initial push for awareness, we're going to be moving on to more action. But her organization would continue that awareness push. So it sustains the effort that we're making to keep that awareness out there.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. Does anybody else have any other questions? Let's see. Oh, we had talked about no luck with getting somebody from the shelters or.
Elizabeth Douglas, who's head of the women's
Mhm.
supposed to be here, the women's shelter.
Turn the mic on. Can you turn your mic on? Oh, sorry.
Elizabeth Rice, who's the director of the women's shelter, was supposed to be here, but I don't see her.
Okay, let's go ahead and put it on for next month again. I know Elizabeth,
Sure.
yeah, she would be a nice to get some updates on stuff, especially going into winter
I
too.
agree.
So, okay, if we could just leave that on for, next month.
And
then.
Michael can speak to House of Hope.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike, please. I'm sorry.
What's his last name?
All right. Okay, so for those of you who don't know me, I'm Mike Thompson, and I wear several hats. I have been privileged to help coordinate the task force for homelessness, and I'm also the executive director of the House of Hope and board chair of Safe Place Warming Houses. I'm getting tired just thinking about it, actually. And so I wanted to bring an update on the homelessness task force. So the sheriff and several other of you have been involved in that task force from the beginning, and thank you so much for your support. Recently, we had a public meeting October 1st, and we presented to the community. There was probably 30 people present, 30, 35. And so we presented both the situation of homelessness, what the issues are, and did an awareness push. And then the thing that the task force has been mostly involved in is getting behind the formation of a nonprofit, Safe Place Warming Houses, that helps carry out the day-to-day operation and planning initiatives for addressing homelessness. So so they've gotten behind and helped form Safe Place Warming Houses, and we've made significant progress with Safe Place. Back to the task force, we're going to have a meeting. I mentioned when it was, but Officer Rybczynski, did I say that right? He will help to plan and coordinate the next public meeting in winter. So we're getting to the whole community or the region. So I just wanted to get that in the record that we are working at that and trying to get beyond just here and to the other side of the county. So with Safe Place Warming Houses, we have a significant board that has gathered, and they're doing tremendous work. We're established, we have our accounts open, we have our policies written, and so now the thing that we're working on is getting a facility and raising funds. We have Friday, we're going to do an assessment with a nonprofit that may share part of its facility with us. I'm not sure how that's going to go. That can always be dicey, but we're going to do an assessment for them for free. And in exchange for talking about partnering and so forth with them. So if Safe Place can partner with them, then you've got a women's shelter that can do a longer term program. And then you also have emergency temporary overnight warming house approach kind of shelter, where it's just a place to get out of the weather and elements and regroup and then make a plan the next day. So these two working side by side is tremendous. We're really trying to find property and a situation that'll work for men. I don't know if we're going to make it by winter or not. If God gives us the grace and hearts are moved to help us with that, we may come up with something. But I know there's a lot of men that need shelter just overnight temporarily. They come to my front door at my house all the time, and then they go to the House of Hope, and we can't help them because we're a 6-month program, and you can't come in there if you're a bit tipsy or you haven't been vetted. So anyway, Safe Place is partnering with law enforcement to make sure on the front end that someone isn't hiding out from the law by using a shelter. So we are doing our due diligence there, and law enforcement will help us create the intake and somehow partner so that we do this wisely And then we're working on handoffs. And then one of the biggest concerns is, are we going to attract people from the region here and then overtax resources? So we know about that issue and we'll address it. We'll make sure that this isn't too comfortable, and sleeping in a recliner isn't that comfortable, and not having your belongings, having to leave every day to go work, that's not comfortable. So we're aware of that. And we want to make sure that we do a good handoff, have some mercy on people, but also be responsible and promote responsibility. And if they don't follow through with their obligations, they don't earn another night. And there will be drug testing. And then, of course, we're highly connected with rehabilitation programs, so we can do a good handoff. Also, I have a note out to Tweed, and some people from the council asked if I would come and talk to them about what we have going. And then I also have an appointment on the 2nd, I believe, of October with the Elders Association to partner with them in any way that we can. So that's just information that we're really doing due diligence and seeking partnership, not duplicating services, honoring people already doing the work. So I'll let it rest there. Any questions or thoughts?
Does anybody have any
Big
questions?
checks.
Yeah, so I assume the property you're looking at needs to be in the city, basically, right? And
Yeah.
close to, I mean, that's,
Yeah, either far away where rich neighbors aren't threatened, or in town, somewhere where there's a law enforcement presence nearby. So that's another factor to consider is placement. And so the sheriff has been really helpful in steering us away from some areas and to others to do our research. So. Hi.
so can I kind of ask what areas are you looking at trying to acquire property in, or?
Well, for the women's side of it, we're actually looking at partnering with New Reflections, and they have some challenges. So they actually hired me to be a consultant. You don't have to put that on the record, but because of that already emerging partnership, it's kind of natural that they partner with us, allow us to use facilities, and then they'll probably get a few free consulting hours from me in exchange for allowing us to office there and host 2 or 3 women who might just need temporary overnight shelter. So there's a pretty strong partnership we're working on. There always can be pushback and roadblocks, so we'll see. But so we're looking at that. And for men, we're considering a lot of possibilities. We tried to acquire a few properties, one off of Greenwood there, not too far from where there's already housing for people with disabilities. And so the police presence is high there, but that didn't work out. And we've looked at possibilities of maybe partnering with a church and using some of their land. And so that's something that we're going to talk about with them real soon.
So do you have like a target in mind, how much money you need to purchase a house?
Well, if we're purchasing a house, it's significantly more. We're trying to
It's
lease,
just to lease something.
right?
Okay.
And that way that'll get us in. And then we're looking for a longer term strategy for the spring, so we can regroup and have good numbers, good projections, and so forth. And so for right now, we're trying to get through the winter, and hopefully something opens up
Yeah.
that we can do that. We'll do our best.
Yeah.
And partner with people to maybe open some of those doors and get us through. So, and then of course we have the law enforcement partnership, the Department of Corrections partnership that may come up in January, February. That's kind of a separate track and a separate funding source. So
Well, it sounds like you're doing a great job pulling a lot of different resources together.
it's interesting how complex this can be, but one of the things we want to do is we want to have quarterly meetings where all the rescue missions in this area meet together, and then share resources, have plenary sessions where we can help coach up people and get them professional skills, and then also problem solve, both in the areas of leadership and then the everyday tasks and admin. And so everyone that I've talked to from these various 4 or 5 different ministries and NPOs, they're very interested in coming and contributing and learning from each other. How do you grant write? How do you lead volunteers and these kind of things? So.
Yeah, that would be really nice to have a coordinated effort, because then also if you don't have a place for somebody in this shelter, it kind of gives you a roadmap of all the different resources that are out there in terms of short-term shelters, long-term.
Yeah.
And if you're on the absolute right track, because if you have a coordinated effort, then you can say, oh, I don't have a space here, but I can refer that person over here. I know they have a bed open, or I know this is right. I think that's really key. Absolutely.
Yeah. And the transfer of skills, the encouragement of people doing this difficult work. But I noticed one of these NPOs doesn't know anything about grant writing. The other is weak in management, or they could do management but not leadership and strategic thinking. So we put that together, and we might serve this community better.
So how do you think the county could assist you in this whole endeavor?
Well, I'm thinking a couple different ways. Contributing skills. For example, there are people in the county that could come and teach this coalition grant writing, leadership skills, strategic planning, basic business tools that a lot of times the nonprofits are weak in and don't even know what they don't know. So those are some significant things. Maybe being a plenary speaker at these events. At the individual level of safe place warming houses, I think any way that we can partner with people already doing this work would be very helpful, pointing us to funding resources, keeping an eye out for property, even sitting on a task force meeting and just catching something that we're missing. I mean, sometimes that's the most valuable thing, is running into people who know more than you do. I mean, what a blessing that is, so those are some of the things that come to mind.
Okay. Andy, do you see any gaps that the county could help with filling here at this point? Or, I mean, I think UW Extension, you've been using them, correct? Because I know they're a good resource also.
Yep.
Okay. Right. Okay. So you're looking into a little bit. Mhm. Right. Right. Okay. All right. Well, anybody else have any questions? Okay. Thank you very much, Mike, for everything.
All right. Well, thank you for your
Really
support and
appreciate it.
encouragement. I appreciate all of you very much.
Any other community service updates? Grant, you got anything, or he said it all? Okay, all right. All right. Do you have people back in House of Hope now? Are you full again?
We have one that. Yeah. So we have two graduates who at the House of Hope who are really excelling at leadership, and so they are steady, and it looks like they're handling most of the day-to-day programs. I'm trying to transfer skills to them and allow them to lead without getting in their way. And then we have two that are in the House right now. We've got 5 pending applications, and one or two of them look promising. Usually if you have one-word answers on your application, it's a no-go, They're just doing that out of obligation to get their counselor off their back or something. So I'm guessing there's 1 or 2 in the pipeline that'll probably be coming soon, which is very helpful.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, sounds good. Anybody else have anything on community services update? Any other programs? All right, so then future agenda items, I think we'll put the LCO shelter representatives on again for next month. Anybody else have anything they'd like to see on the agenda other than the standing stuff we've had? Okay, correspondence, reports from conferences and meetings.
I have one update that I just wanted to let you know. I did personally talk to the chairman, and then I also sent email to his administrative assistant about somebody to replace Lorraine Gouget. And I don't know where that's at. But I'll send another email.
Leave it.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I think they had it on the agenda,
Okay.
but didn't get to it
Oh, didn't get to it.
But I think.
yesterday or the day
But
before.
Yeah,
Lynn
but
said, I think
hopefully
they were gonna
today.
try to get to it today. It
Yeah.
was scheduled for today,
Okay.
so hopefully we'll
Great.
get somebody.
That's
Thank you.
great
You-
news.
you- you-
Yeah, I finally,
You got a nudge and it worked, right? There you go.
thank you.
All right. Anybody else have anything? Okay, I just thank you for everybody attending. Next month's meeting, I assume we're gonna stick with. It's a second, is that? Okay, November 8th and 12 o'clock. Does this work for most people or is there a better time? Seems like the majority of people have been. Okay. All right, sounds good. We'll schedule that and we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.